is somebody doing that?
I think someone will be doing it.
Okay.
We're live.
All right, here we go. This is the Action Network Instant Reaction Show talking about the conference championship lines. The Packers and the Bucs. The Chiefs are playing the Bills. They are hosting the Bills. I got Matthew Friedman. I got Sean Corner. I got Chris Raybon. I got Stuckey. We may or may not get Simon Hunter. We're hoping we do. We were having some technical difficulties. Guys, right off the bat, there's only one topic to talk about. The Bills opened as favorites against the Kansas City Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes had a concussion in the third quarter. First of all, I want to get Sean Corner's take on this right away. We're going to get into the details of the game. Tell me your take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and what the line should be if he's playing and what the line should be if he's not playing.
Yeah, so if he's playing, I would have KC -3 here. He also had that toe injury, so we need to be concerned about that. I don't think he'll be playing at full strength either way, so I would say KC -2.5. Now, if he's ruled out and it's Chad Henne, I would have, Bills -3.5, maybe -4. The Chiefs also have Rashad Breeland, Mitchell Schwartz, Sammy Watkins, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Could be a game-time decision, so they have a lot of key players that could move the line, a half point to a point. So I think I'd move it, Bills -3.5 immediately if Mahomes is ruled out.
And then, so right now we got the Bills, the Chiefs as 2.5-point favorites. It quickly moved, guys. The line opened with the Bills at -1. It quickly moved to -2.5. The total opened at 49. It quickly moved up to 55. Raybon, the market clearly believes that Patrick Mahomes is going to play. Give me your take on sort of how you're thinking about this game right now, knowing what you saw about Patrick Mahomes and thinking about everything the corner just said.
Yeah, I think, the first thing to keep in mind here is that when you have since the current divisional format, when you have two teams playing a rematch from the regular season, as the Chiefs and Bills did, and the Bucs and Packers, the team that won the first matchup, when it's a non-divisional game, is 55-39 in the rematch. So that does favor the Chiefs. However, a lot of injury question marks. So what I think, just looking at how the total kind of moved, I think the most value at this point with the uncertainty is probably on the under. You saw the Bills put up just 17 points against the Baltimore Ravens. They're a team that's like even in a situation where they're going to be able to run the ball against the Chiefs a little bit more. But just with all the injury question marks from the Chiefs, the possibility that Mahomes is not 100%, Mitchell Schwartz, I think that's where the most value is. But it just would favor the Chiefs, assuming they're reasonably healthy.
Have you guys stuck? Have you made any bets on this yet at this point, either on the Chiefs or on the Bills or on the total?
I haven't. I wish what would it open at? I think during the game I saw it was going to be 4.5. And at this point, I have this, say everyone was full strength, and Kansas City is clearly not, but I would have had this at Kansas City -2.5. So I would have loved to have a field goal or more. Obviously, then with Mahomes' uncertainty, if this gets to 3, I would take it now, even though I make it 2.5 and 3 isn't that much value. But then you add in the chance that Mahomes doesn't play, and there's these other injuries. You also have an extra day of preparation for Buffalo. The Bills have been the better team this season. Now, a lot of people have said that the Chiefs could just come and flip it on, but I unfortunately didn't get in when that line was sporadically up around 4. If it gets to 3 anywhere and we don't know about Mahomes, I'm buying. If not, I'll wait to see if Mahomes gets ruled in, and then I'll look to take the Bills at over a field goal.
Friedman, what's your take?
I'm with Stuckey there, and it's already, I'm looking at FanDuel right now. It's Bills +3 -115. I love it there. I mean, I think this market is priced as if everyone on the Chiefs is healthy, when that is almost certainly not the case. So I think there's room for upside from here. whether it's Mahomes being ruled out, whether it's Mitchell Schwartz not coming back from injury, whatever it is. It seems like there are multiple outs for this line moving towards the Bills from here. So I really love it from a market perspective, from an on-field perspective, and Josh Allen. I mean, he's been so good this year, and the Bills have been so good against the spread. But throughout his career, Allen has been especially good as a road dog. 8-2-2 against the spread, and we get him here in this situation when, if Mahomes is out, the Bills should be favored. So I like this line a lot right now at +3. I think people should bet it before it moves, because I don't see how it could be any more favorable at this point for the Bills, and it could move a lot in the other direction.
I'm glad you just said that. You made a very definitive statement, which was you think people should bet this line at +3 on the Bills, because we are also getting so many comments. And Evan, if you want to throw up, like, there's a comment here of some guy calling us out and saying we're foolish, right? So Evan Abrams, who's the producer, why would you give out these lines and talk about this right now? Because it's just foolish. This is what the betting markets are. Part of doing this is speculative, right? And so now we have imperfect information, and what you want to do is try to make the best case decision that you can based on what you have right now to give yourself the first mover advantage. Because once everybody knows if Patrick Mahomes is playing, then all of a sudden, unless you happen to be sitting at your computer, you are not going to get any opportunity to take advantage. So Friedman, I think it's really interesting that you said that, but when you think about it, and maybe Sean, Stuckey, and Raybon, you have a thought on this too, like, you're obviously not making a max bet on this. How are you thinking about how much you're betting on this and the value of a bet on this at +3 with the Bills?
I won't be betting on the Bills. I don't think that they actually match up very well with the Chiefs at all. You know, two games this year that stand out for me are opening day Chiefs Ravens and little late midseason Chiefs Bills. Those are two games where the underdog was a trendy pick against Kansas City. And I kind of talked about how that defense has just been defending those kind of quarterbacks extremely well. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and you saw them really struggle, have a couple of their worst games of the season against the Chiefs. So I think right now, there's uncertainty around Mahomes. The line is going to move either way. So it really comes down to which team you like. I think there's value either way at this number. If Patrick Mahomes gets ruled in, that line I think is going to move up toward the Chiefs a little more. And obviously if he's out, it's going to move way toward the Bills. So it's just what you like. But I won't be betting on the Bills. So I'm looking at the Chiefs here.
Corner.
Yeah, I'll okay.
Well, yeah.
You go. Let's Stuck go, and then Corner, you can go.
Go for it.
I was just going to say I agree with that guy who called us foolish, but not for debating this. I mean, I would like to go back to that Bills-Chiefs game earlier in the year and just make a point that version of the Bills team is so much drastically different than what we saw now. I mean, they played a bunch of practice squad guys on their defensive line, and the Chiefs just said, we're going to hand it off every single play. And they did, and they ran, I don't know, but they handed off 80 times in that game, and they just ran up and down the field. The Bills' defense has improved significantly since then. The defensive line is playing a lot better. They're healthier. They made some schematic changes to the linebacker position. So that game was kind of fluky in the way that it all set up.
I'm looking at the offense, though, for the Bills. I agree. I think the defense is much better, and that's why I said I think the actual most value, if you're betting anything, there's a lot of uncertainty. I think you could have a little shifts both ways with the spread, but I think there's more value on the total that kind of went up, assuming, I guess, with greater certainty that Mahomes is going to play, because I still think the Chiefs defense, as much as it struggled at certain points, I think they are going to play against Josh Allen well. We've seen Allen put up 17 points for the Bills in that second game, 27 in the first, and we saw the Chiefs, play well on defense against the Browns in this one. So I think that's where the value is.
Sean.
Yeah, I'm with what Stuckey was saying earlier. If Bills +3 pops up, I've seen it in some places. I took it already. I think you got to move on that. We're also trying to figure out what's the % chance that Mahomes plays. I mean, if I just had to guess, it'd be 80 to 90% chance. He has an uphill battle. Everything I've read, it's going to be close. He probably won't get much practice time. So if you're thinking, 10 to 15% chance, let's say, this will move to Buffalo -3.5. Then you might as well just lock in +3 right now. And even if Mahomes plays and I get the Bills +3, I can get behind that. Again, this toe injury, we don't really know much about it yet. And we saw Phillip Rivers play through it just fine. But Patrick Mahomes is a more mobile quarterback. So, he was able to play through it today. Maybe that was adrenaline. Maybe it's not a big deal. But that is something that could, sap his value a bit. So he might be 90% coming in this game. So I'm just with Stuckey on just locking in the +3 while you can right now.
Yeah, guys, here's what's amazing to me. Patrick Mahomes basically looked like he got knocked out in that game. Like everybody could see the look in his face, and he needed help from his teammates to stand up. Dan Ravel had a story earlier tonight speaking to doctors about how hard it is to come back from concussions. He referenced a study in that story that said the average time people come back from concussions is 19 days. Patrick Mahomes needs everything to go perfectly in the concussion protocol in order for him to play a week from today. And I know the line is all moving in that direction, but like in the total and the line, but like it is not corner. You put it at 80 to 90%. I am not that confident he would play. Like it's not easy to come back from a concussion.
Chad, one thing I would add, and this is to Raybon's point, I'm with him on the under 54.5. That seems like that number is even more optimistic maybe than the side that Mahomes will be playing. And as you said, it's not a certainty that he plays. And even if he does play 54.5 at Arrowhead in January, that's a high number. So as much as I like the Bills at +3, I think I might like the under a little bit more.
I agree with you. I think right now the opportunity more than anything, and we talked about this on Convince Me, the pregame betting show that we do on Action Network HQ that we'll do next weekend as well in advance of the conference title games. We've talked about the totals at Arrowhead always being overinflated, and especially with Mahomes, those totals at Arrowhead being overinflated. And today was just another example of that. That game never should have been totaled. I think it got as high as 57. It never should have been there. And Raybon, you're shaking your head. Do you agree with Friedman on sort of looking at the total?
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think if you think the Bills are, have a chance to beat the Chiefs, with Mahomes in the lineup, you lock in that +3. But from my perspective, I think there's no given, even if, let's say, Mahomes is out with the Bills. I think this will be a struggle. But I do see a scenario where even if Mahomes plays, Mitchell Schwartz plays, Clyde Edwards-Helaire plays, that this game still goes well under the total. And that's why I like the under even more than the side, where there's just a little more uncertainty. And I under normal conditions, I would favor the Chiefs around a little more than a field goal here, just because of the way I think they match up. I know some of the guys have it projected a little less.
Stuckey, what's your take on the total? Can we get a consensus on how we all feel about the total and whether or not we think 55 is too high?
Yeah. I mean, if both play, if Mahomes and if Allen played, I wouldn't run to bet the under at 55. But you have to introduce that uncertainty that Mahomes doesn't play. And again, it comes down to I was talking with Corner about this earlier. I'm trying to figure out the probability that he doesn't play. And I don't know. I'm not in for conspiracy theories. Like, do they cut corners on what he has to pay? Like, is the NFL going to cut corners? Like if Mahomes is really close, and normally in a regular season game they wouldn't play, but it's the AFC Championship, so is he going to play? I don't know how all that works, but trying to figure out that probability that Mahomes plays. If you think it's 40% compared to 80%, that's a big difference in what you would project the under to be, what you would project this kind of hedged line to be. So I'm going to try to do some digging there. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can go back and look at former players who have had concussions, and as you said, that story that Ravel had, but I honestly don't know. I don't know what that percentage chance would be. It looked bad, and the Chiefs have one less day than the Bills had an extra day. It would have been better if the Chiefs played on Saturday. They also have an extra day of preparation. And it is Arrowhead, so we got to keep an eye on the weather with winds. So that could be something that plays into the under's hands as well. But it's a fascinating game from a market perspective, just because there's just so much uncertainty, and a lot of times with games this time of year, there's not.
Evan Abrams, producer, there's a comment in there under $? No way. Throw that in there for a second, because Corner, I want you to have the last word on the Chiefs Bills before we get into the Packers and Bucks. For that line has been moving as well. So give me your take on the total here in the Chiefs Bills.
Yeah, the total was a bit weird. So when this line was first posted, they had the total right around 50, 51, which is where I would set it if Mahomes is ruled out. Yet the spread was where I would have it if Mahomes was playing. So it was no surprise to see it get bet up to 55 because the market is kind of assuming at this point that Mahomes is going to play. But, you know, if Mahomes is ruled out, which we're saying I don't know, 10 to 15% chance, it'll probably drop back down to 51. So again, if you're a little bit more bearish that Mahomes will play, then yeah, take the under now. But this is where I would have it if Mahomes is active.
All right, so let's get on to the NFC title game. That was good. That was a good discussion, guys. NFC title game, and again, everything you need. Like there's so much speculation on Mahomes right now. Download the Action Network app, free Action Network app, free award-winning Action Network app. All the data, all the analysis, all the updates that you're going to need on what's happening in the AFC title game, what's happening with Patrick Mahomes, the lines moving. You can get the experts, Chris Raybon, Sean Corner, Matthew Freeman, Stuckey. They will be updating consistently throughout this week. Green Bay, -4. The total in this game is 51.5, but it opened at 3.5, immediately got bet up to 4 at DK at DraftKings. The total opened, I think, at 51.5. It actually might be Evan Abrams, producer, now at 52. Raybon, before we came on the air, this first thing you started yelling was Bucks, 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 Bucks. And then as soon as we said it went up to 4, you got even more excited. Explain yourself.
Yeah, so, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were a team that I bet on against the Saints this week, even though they lost the first 2 matchups. And I think they just match up well with the teams remaining in the postseason. We saw that earlier this year against the Green Bay Packers, where really the Bucs gave the Packers more problems than any other team this season. Even that great Rams defense last week, 38-10. Again, teams that non-divisional rematches in the postseason, 55-39 to the team that won the first time. But I just think that I have the Packers favored. I think the Packers win this game more often than they lose it, but. This is a lot closer to a coin flip game than I think the line indicates. So I love getting the Bucks at more than a field goal. So that's the bet I'm really excited to lock in as we get out of these 2 games.
By the way, as we speak, Evan Abrams just put a note in the chat for all of us. Kansas City has been bet up to 3.5, probably on our conversation. And the total is now 54, also on our conversation. So, guys, I apologize if being on this live stream has kept you from getting the best of the number. I hope you've been able to make that's while we're talking. Raybon, I agree with you completely. Stuckey, what's your take on Raybon? You guys will probably talk about this in the Action Network NFL podcast, which will come out on Thursday, talking about the conference title games.
Yeah, I do want to point out DraftKings, it's +3.5 -125, so it's basically 3. But yeah, I think I make this right around a field goal, and it's really interesting. The market's very efficient at this
Stuck, hold on, let me cut you off. Evan, put in the comment, Action has consistently made me money this year, because people like to see that when they pop into a live stream. Go ahead, Stuck.
I make it right around a field goal, and it's interesting that the NFL market is pretty damn efficient at this point in the season, and we do have this element of how much is home field worth. So if you think it's worth nothing, if you think it's worth 1, if you think it's worth 1.2, that could actually make a difference on whether or not you think that there's value with the Bucs or maybe even the Packers. I don't know if I'll necessarily have a bet on this side, but what I will say is I will spend probably tomorrow looking back at that Bucs-Packers game, rewatch it, try and figure out, okay, what exactly did that Todd Bowles 3-4 defense? They got a ton of pressure on Rodgers. They confused him on the back end with different looks. Was it just a game we throw out? Because the Packers have been unstoppable on offense every other week this season. So that's what I kind of want to dig into, and we'll talk about it more on the podcast. As of right now, I don't think I'll have anything on this side, but that could change.
Corner.
Yeah, I'm with Raybon on the Bucks here. We both like the Bucks +3 on Convince Me this morning. I think the market still kind of underrates the Buccaneers. I had that basically a pick 'em. I gave the Saints about a point for home field advantage. Now, I think the Packers definitely have a home field advantage. If they're going to have 8,000 fans again, it certainly looked like a lot more than 8,000 fans. So I think, I'm bumping up their home field advantage closer to 2 here. It should be cold. Tom Brady knows how to play in the cold. I'm not too worried about that. But I think that this total, it might be a little bit low because people are talking about there could be some snow. It doesn't look like it's going to be. Yeah, exactly. I think they're kind of overreacting to that already. I would set this total closer to 53.5. So I think that's where I'm looking at right now is, locking in Tampa Bay at +4 and hitting this over. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, and Tampa Bay has scored 30 plus points in 5 games in a row now. They had to make a lot of adjustments today. I think this offense still really hasn't hit their stride. So I think this could be a shootout.
Friedman, what's your take?
I agree with Sean on the idea of the over, this line maybe being a little bit too low, but I think that correlates more to the Packers and them being favored. And honestly, I think not that their home field advantage is intact because everyone's home field advantage is diminished this year, but I think they still have a pretty true home field advantage because Rodgers can play in the cold and Brady at 43 years old, like we've seen it every second half of the season for the past half decade, he diminishes. And he's already said this year, he's like, he hates playing in cold weather. This is not a Tom Brady game. Aaron Rodgers at home, 1 win away from going to the Super Bowl. Like, I get it, how this is like the square play, but I think this should be closer to like -6 instead of -3.
Oh my God.
I can't can I hop in here?
Go ahead,
Friedman, you've been on the Packers. I'll hand you that. Like you've been just betting the Packers as favorites, and they've been hitting. So I'm not knocking that. But to say that Tom Brady's not a cold weather quarterback, like that's absurd. No, that's absurd. First of all, Tom Brady, all his years in New England, by the time you get to this time of year, Julian Edelman's been concussed 3 times, and they have no other receivers. That's why he's not like a cold weather quarterback. He's thrown to nobody. Now you have guys that have played it. You have Antonio Brown. You have 2 big running backs that can move the chain. Like you have a whole different type of team this year. Tom Brady's been throwing more downfield this year. It's not like a guy like Drew Brees who can barely get the ball down the field in a dome. Like that's absurd to say that Tom Brady can't play in cold weather. And a lot of people, and even I expressed concern, even though I was on the Rams, unfortunately, against the Packers. But a lot of people, we expressed concern with Jared Goff in the cold weather, up in Green Bay, hostile environment, Cali guy. What did he starts 19 of 22. He goes 21 of 27. And his passer rating 105.9, Rodgers 108.1. So, this is, if Jared Goff can do it, Tom Brady, the GOAT, can do it even more.
Let me say, it feels really good to have all 4 of you on one side and me on the other.
All right, let's talk about the total for a second. Evan, there's a comment in there that says Green Bay was gashed on the ground by a one-dimensional Rams team. Do you think that the Bucs will use their 2-headed monster of Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette and play a more ground control, clock control game to try to keep this game lower scoring? Does that play into sort of anything you think that would have an impact on the total? Stuck, you start.
Yeah, it could. We've seen the Bucs do that at times this year where they're inefficiently running it on first down. They did it a lot today. They were trying to establish the run, which I don't necessarily agree with their stable of receivers and Tom Brady. The Rams is a different case. I mean, their running game is a lot better than the Bucs, and their kind of passing game is limited. But the Packers don't have a great run defense, but they'll welcome you to run on them. It's kind of a run funnel defense. What I'm looking for here is with the potential snow. My favorite overplays in snow are what I call them snovers, but you have to wait to bet them. We saw this with Green Bay, Tennessee. We had one of the final weeks of the season. And what happens is everyone sees the snow and they say there's going to be no points, and then total will dive. And then you wait, and about an hour, everyone sees the snow out there, and then you could bet the over. And look, it's an advantage for the offense in the snow as long as it's not too much. And then that total will get bet down sometimes 5-6 points. So that's what I'm going to have my eye on. And who doesn't want to root for snow in this game?
By the way, there's a comment in here from someone. Packers will be ready, and the pressure will be on Brady all day. Tom Brady does not feel pressure. Sean Corner, give me a take on this total here.
Well, yeah, I got ahead of myself because I already said I like the over here. I agree. Tom Brady does not feel pressure. And this Green Bay defense has been playing a lot better of late, especially Rashawn Gary's been playing really well. The Packers I think they were they had the second most sacks in the past month, but they had the third lowest pressure rate. So that's one of those things where I think they've been kind of getting some good sack luck. I don't think they're going to get as much pressure on Brady here. I mentioned today that L.A. Marpet was out during that blowout against the Saints earlier in the year. His health is huge. Getting Brady a clean pocket is huge. I think Brady will have time to throw here. Like I said, I think this will be a shootout. I do love the over here. And you made a good point. I think that the Bucs do lean on the running game maybe a little bit more here. Although it seemed like after every Ronald Jones run, he was limping. I don't think he's 100% yet, but he looked good enough. And I think that's how you attack this Green Bay defense. So I think they'll put up a ton of points here.
All right, folks, this has been the Action Network instant reaction to the conference championship games. We got Green Bay is now a 3.5-point favorite. The total on that is 51.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bills visiting the Chiefs. Still don't know. We're not going to know. It's going to be a long week of speculation on Patrick Mahomes. The line, just since we've been on the air and said, take Kansas City at -2.5 and take the under at 55, the line has since moved Kansas City to 3.5, and the total is now 54. Keep up to date with everything you need. ActionNetwork.com, the free Action Network app, all the data, all the analysis, all the updates from all of our experts, including Chris Raybon, Sean Corner, Matthew Friedman, Stuckey. I'm Chad Millman. Thanks for watching.